I had my microphone muted. I'm gonna edit that part out after this. So thank you for joining us on That Atheist Show. I'm Preston, that atheist dude, and tonight we have Sal Villarreal from the Secular Latino Alliance, a group on Facebook. Thank you for joining us, Sal.
Thanks.
So what we want to talk about tonight is your transition from how you grew up into being the founder of an atheist group on Facebook to where you've brought together a bunch of people who've been looking for a way out of their religious families, basically. So let's start from the beginning. How did you grow up? Basically, what belief system did you grow up with?
Well, I would say it's non-practicing Catholic. Like we weren't
It
baptized,
is.
but my grandmother went to church every Saturday religiously, and so yeah, my mom, she raised us with the belief that Jesus and God were the same, and that we should pray to Jesus, pray all the time whenever we'd have nightmares, say some Hail Marys. It was pretty much Catholicism.
You had the
Everything
rosary beads.
rosary beads. She never taught us how to do those, but she did them.
I learned that in the school when I went to Catholic school.
Did you?
Yeah, they taught us exactly how to do those. We had tests on them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up like not your traditional Catholics. We claim Catholic. We believed the way Catholics do, but we didn't do baptisms. We didn't do communions, um, confirmations. We didn't go to church as kids. We just
Right.
had it in our house.
It was
Cross.
very cultural then.
Yeah, yeah, more cultural than anything else, really.
Yeah, that's a huge part of the Hispanic culture. Basically, is Catholicism roots. If
Hell
you
yeah.
if you look at South America, all the islands like Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, a lot of Roman Catholics out there, and some of them are pretty freaking hardcore too. They got the sangria. Is that's what it is, right? Or Santeria?
Santeria. Sangria is a
Yeah,
drink.
yeah, sangria is the trick. That's right. They had the Santeria,
Yeah.
the witchcraft, and all that crazy stuff. It's a huge part of the culture behind
Yeah.
Hispanic. So, when you made this group, how did you come about creating the group anyway?
Well, I started really, it was kind of like I met you in another group I was helping to admin called Ask a Friendly Atheist,
I remember that. Yes.
and yeah, it just started with a bunch of I kept seeing people come in saying, "Hey, I'm in a Latino community. My family's Catholic. I'm not. They want me to baptize my kid. How do I handle this?" And there was really like a lot of people, the greater atheist community, they would say things like oh, don't do that, it's not, don't, it's not about what your family thinks, but really in the Latino community it's hard to say that.
Oh
Be-
yeah.
it's a lot about what your family thinks, because for the Latinos your family is everything.
Hmm.
I mean, there are a lot of people who are always with their families. I mean, that's it.
At all
They don't have,
times, yeah.
yeah, all times, and
Taking
it's
care of
almost,
the abuelas and all that.
yeah. And so they never really quite understood when they would try to answer those questions, just how hard it would be to just not baptize your son or daughter.
Right.
And so yeah, I kind of started looking around thinking maybe there's a group out there for Latinos, and since I've been helping the admin, I've got some experience in my belt, and I could maybe help grow a group.
That's pretty
And
awesome.
I found one, and that was looking for admin help, and so I stepped in and I helped grow. Not too many members at that time, maybe 100 members joined up.
Yeah.
Recruited a couple other admins, Jesus Perez and Tracy Savage, and then it didn't work out. The rest of the admin team, they had a different idea of what direction they wanted to go.
And this was also a Hispanic based one,
Yeah,
is what
yeah,
you're
it was
saying.
it was a Hispanic based one. I'm not gonna say the name. I don't want to talk bad about
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
group,
That's fine.
but yeah, it was a Hispanic based one, and I don't know. It was just more. They wanted more of an atheistic free for all, where you could just, which is fine, but I'm not a big fan of people insulting each other.
Yeah.
And if we want to have intellectual conversations and actually provide support for Latinos out there, I don't think we should be calling each other names. And
Yeah, absolutely.
so we kind of ventured off on our own, and just our members followed us. I put out some feelers out in other groups that would allow me to, and it just kind of took off from there. We recruited Luciano Gonzalez. He's from North Carolina as another admin founder. Pretty early on, I came across him on one of the Johnny Brotherton's posts, and he was kind of outspoken. I thought, hey, we could use this kid. So
Johnny Brotherson. We don't talk about him anymore. Now you also got into contact with David Tamayo, who we interviewed on the last season, right?
yeah.
Did I connect you guys?
Um, you mentioned David Tamayo, and I did try to
Yeah,
connect with him after you mentioned him,
okay.
and I couldn't get through at that time.
I
He
remember you
just,
saying that. Yeah.
yeah, I think he happened across one of my filler posts in an agnostic group actually, and
Oh,
he
yeah,
joined up.
yeah, yeah. That was a big group.
Yeah, it was huge. Yeah, and he joined up, and he's been tremendous. He's very
That's awesome.
inspirational in the Latino community, and one of the most outspoken there is. And
He
so,
has that TV show.
oh, yeah, what's that called?
I forgot what it's called, but it's pretty good.
Real.
It's awesome.
Oh, excuse me.
I
Yeah,
enjoyed
he's a
watching
good
it.
guy. I like him.
Definitely. We'll have to get him back on the show sometime. So now, crazy thing about all of this is you're actually a recent atheist, aren't you?
I am. Yep. It's been a year in April where since I would officially
What was your moment though? Like, how are you able to say this day was the day?
well, let's see. It was kind of a culmination, but really my wife started pulling away first.
Okay.
Okay, so I went from Catholic to Wiccan, which is weird. And then
How long were you Wiccan though?
5 years.
Okay.
5 years. I didn't do the weird dancing and naked in the woods or any of that stuff.
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, but
I didn't think many did that.
yeah, but it was the whole nature spellcraft. I didn't do much of the spellcrafting either. I can't really say that, but just kind of focusing on the nature aspect and
But so when you're saying that you were Wiccan, you believed that that was true.
I I believed I tried to make I wanted
Like
to
you didn't do the spells, but you believed that if somebody did those spells, that it would come true.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But
That
then
makes sense though.
after doing it for a while, I kind of realized that that kind of wasn't the case.
Right. None of this shit's working.
How come I never get money? I keep putting this dollar bill and burying it and covered it in patchouli oil, but I never get any money. Maybe I should get a job.
Yeah, right. Let me go do something. That's pretty awesome. That's how I would suspect a lot of people come out of that. Like, wait a second, I'm poor and I have nothing.
I see this money tree growing. It's making no sense.
Exactly.
But yeah, I started dating my wife, and she was evangelical Christian.
Oh, so she was hardcore.
She went to an American Baptist church,
Okay.
and I remember thinking, "Oh man, she's a Christian. How is this gonna work out?" And but I wanted it to, so I started going to church with her.
Oh wow.
Somehow they convinced me. I would assume it's based because of I already had the background with Jesus, and
Right.
so
It was easy to transition at that
yeah,
point.
it was, and so I tried really hard to be that hardcore Christian, but there was a lot of things I didn't agree with them because they would preach down on gay people. They would preach against adultery
And where are you?
in Kansas.
Ah, yeah. That'll do it.
And so a lot of that stuff we'd come out of the sermons, and we would talk about things that we didn't agree with the sermon and problems we had. So we ended up leaving that church, and we went to my uncle's church, which was a non-denominational. He's a pastor,
Mhm.
and I kind of feel like he had plans for me to kind of follow him in that line of
Right.
work because of how hard we were trying to be. But eventually, like I said, she pulled away. She started reading science stuff, and I tried to convince her that she could believe in science and Jesus. And so I bought her a bunch of books by Christian scientists. I didn't know any better back then, and then I heard about the Ken Ham Bill Nye debate, and I said, "Hey, we should watch this, and then you'll be able to see this Christian go up against Bill Nye, and he'll maybe be able to provide some answers for you, so you can come back to believing with me." And so we watched that, and it didn't work out that way.
Amazing idea. Perfect idea.
I ended up going, "What the hell am I watching?" I was rooting for Ken Ham, and I feel so bad because I was rooting for him.
Oh yeah, I
And
bet a lot of people in there were.
yeah, and he didn't provide any answers,
Yeah.
and it was terrible. And I just thought, you know what? I had already had doubts when I was a Christian. I was starting to read other things, as I'm sure most atheists do. Read the Quran, read the Book of Mormon, just kind of search for
Just yeah,
more.
just look into other stuff just to see what the common ground is.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Common ground. That's a good way to put it. And so those doubts just kind of crept back, and so I thought, maybe I can explore these doubts, and I don't know.
Become
At
stronger
some
through Christ.
Yeah, at some point I decided I realized that I wasn't believing anymore at all. Like I was listening to more atheist stuff, and we tried to attend an atheist community that we have here in Kansas City. The first day we went, we weren't ready for that, so we left real early, and so I started watching stuff on the internet. And then one day I was in a quick trip we have down here. It's a gas station, and I ran into an old guy from our first church, and he asked me, "Hey, how's it going? Are you guys going to church anywhere?" And I said no, because we hadn't been, not for about a year at that point. And he just proceeded to just tell me how sinful that was, and how I'm not leading my family in Christ, and how I'm really doing a bad thing for my family. It's a disservice to them, and I really should come back. And I just thought, this the more I'm listening to you, the more it sounds like excuse my language, it sounds like bullshit. And I don't know. At that point, I think I just kind of decided to look into atheism more.
To deconvert.
Yeah, that was kind of the turning point. I thought, I hope I don't sound like these assholes who are yelling at me about sending my family to hell.
Yeah, I mean none of it makes sense in the first place.
Yeah.
So at that point,
At
you became part of the atheist community after all
Yeah,
that
after that,
again.
we started going to Kansas City Oasis. It had just been they had been around for a year. And we came across them, and so we started attending some of their gatherings.
Is
Learn,
do they do like the Sunday assembly type thing?
yeah, it's kind of like Sunday Assembly, except I think Sunday Assembly goes once a month,
That's cool.
and
Give you 3 weekends to sleep in.
I think so. I can't. I'm not an expert with them, but I know Oasis was a weekly thing.
That's
So
cool.
they were trying to be a secular alternative to faith-based community, which we thought, if we're gonna be out of religion, we might as well find people who are like us,
Right.
and made a lot of good friends, and started getting involved with the Kansas City Atheist Coalition,
They do
doing
like
some of
charity stuff.
yeah, they do charity. They volunteer with Micah Ministry down
Cool.
here in Kansas City, so they serve food, and they do a lot of odd odds and ends. Like we're doing a rakeathon, a rake off this weekend to help I believe she's a Holocaust survivor. Her name escapes me right now, but they're gonna rake up her yard, clean it up.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we do fun stuff too. Like Richard Carrier's coming at the end of May.
Oh wow, that's
He's
big.
gonna Yeah, he's gonna do a lecture uh, over where Casey Oasis usually meets. And we did Pastafarian evangelism over in our what we call our plaza area, which is kind of a huge shopping district. That was kind of fun.
That's cool. You just bring a big thing of spaghetti or something.
we were
Spaghetti for
actually
everybody.
we were passing out ramen. We were passing out ramen. People, some of them were dressed as pirates, and we were still fairly fresh. So all I had on was my Freemason baseball cap because I didn't have any atheist gear at the time.
That's
So
funny. Freemason stuff.
oh yeah, excuse me. Yeah, I was a Mason for 3 or 4 years
That's awesome.
when I was a Christian. So yeah.
Yeah, it kind of goes hand in hand with that stuff.
Well, they make it sound so intriguing because it's supposed to be secretive and mystical, and
Yeah, I love the whole like the way that they keep you in is basically like, but if you stay in, you'll go to the next secret level, and then you'll find out another secret, and then you'll find another secret, and then it's like by the time you find out the fucking secret that you're really like aiming for, you're already like 90 years old. You can't do anything.
and the kicker is the money, man. The money.
Yeah.
It's you pay dues every year, and then if you want to you start off as a regular Freemason.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but if you want to be a Shriner or a York Rite Mason, which eventually leads you to the Knights Templar. And that's just more money piled on top of your other dues. So
So
you
you're
got
just paying, and then they're like, you're a Knights Templar, and you're like, oh, sweet.
yeah, yeah. You're going through these rituals, and you every time you do a ritual, you advance up a level.
So when
And
you play games like Assassin's Creed, are you just like, huh, I am what that guy is, but I'm not at all like what that guy
yeah,
is?
exactly,
What the fuck?
exactly.
I did not know that they did that.
Yeah, it's. I guess I probably shouldn't be telling you. It's one of their secrets, but
Oh, whatever. I'm sure it will be fine here on YouTube. Everybody believes everything they see on YouTube anyway.
yeah,
That's fucking awesome, though. I'm sure there's like a million freaking like those, loose change type documentaries about
yeah.
Freemasonry saying that stuff anyway.
Yeah,
Freaking
I'll admit I did a lot of research before I joined the lodge,
yeah.
and so I did YouTube, and it turned out to be exactly like the YouTube video said,
That's funny.
which was I guess reassuring at the time.
Yeah, you're like, oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy because here in New York, there's actually buildings that have Freemason symbols like engraved in them, like all over the fucking place. Because they used to have like the hidden lounges,
Oh
the secret
yeah.
lounges and stuff like that. But like they're really tiny engravings on these huge fucking buildings with crazy architecture, and they're all over the fucking place. And you'll see like the symbol engraved in such crazy ways that it does not look like the Freemason symbol, but when you really look at it, you're like, that is the Freemason symbol. Like it's like
Someone's
it's
trying to hide it.
exactly. Yeah, it's really crazy. It's all over though, in Manhattan especially.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty
The
nuts.
crazy thing was, my family is Catholic, and I was, I guess, a Baptist at the time when I became a Freemason. And so the Catholic Church actually still to this day excommunicates Freemasons from the Catholic Church.
Really, that's
So my
interesting.
family wasn't too happy with me doing that, but I mean, I was trying something, I guess.
Well, they're like they have too many secrets. That's pretty great though,
Yeah, the Catholic Church, they think of Freemasons as satanic, and so they form the
because of the rituals.
yeah, I guess so, and I guess also because they admit anybody who just believes in a god, higher power. So Muslims, Jews, they
Yeah,
they admit those people, and the Catholics weren't okay with that. And that's how they. I think that's one of the reasons the Knights of Columbus actually formed, is because a lot of Catholics were wanting to be Freemasons, wanting to join these men's groups, and the Catholic Church was like, "Look, if you're gonna do that, you might as well just be in our club."
that's crazy. Catholics are basically like the Christians that shun all other Christians,
Pretty much.
and like all other Abrahamic religions as like heathens.
Pretty
Because
much.
Islam accepts Christianity and Judaism as brothers of the word,
Yeah.
and yeah, Catholicism is basically the one that's like, no, fuck all of them. We are right.
Yeah.
We're the only correct ones, and Jesus is their Lord.
But at the same time, you have people who aren't necessarily very well versed in what Catholicism really is,
Right.
and so there are people who I've come into contact with in the Latino community here who are like, we believe in Jesus, we believe in hell, and you might believe something else, and when you die, that's where you're gonna go. And so if the Jews believe this and they die, they're gonna go there. And if you believe in this and you die, you're gonna go there instead. And it's ridiculous. You can't have
It's
it both ways.
it's like there's a different underworld for everybody.
Exactly. Exactly. And I've had this said to my face, and I'm like, I don't know how that makes sense to you, but
Yeah, like there's Valhalla exists along with heaven, along with
exactly.
fucking the purgatory, along with limbo. Everything exists. Don't worry about it. You'll go wherever you want to go by the time you die. It's
Exactly.
like, huh,
Exactly.
I feel like I want to go to Valhalla before I die real quick.
And it makes you look at them and you're like, how do you consider yourself a Catholic? Do you not realize what Catholicism is?
Right. And most don't because most don't read it. All they do is listen to what the priest says, and they go by
Yeah.
that, and they sing. Because I remember I went to Catholic school in the Bronx. I went there from second grade to sixth grade, and we almost weekly. I think it was probably like every 2 weeks. We would go into the big chapel, and we would practice the hymns and all that stuff. But like we were very selective in what we learned of the Bible
Yeah.
throughout all that time. It was super selective. Even what the priest went over, it was like the same thing every year.
You
They
know, they
just
discourage the Bible. They didn't want you to read the Bible,
they
especially
wanted
when
you
I
to
was
read their
younger.
books about the Bible.
Yeah, it was all about learning what the priest had to say, and the priest is the guy that communes with God, and nobody else does that.
Yeah. He prays for you.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I grew up learning about Jesus, but I didn't know a damn thing else about Catholicism or Christianity or any of that because we didn't read the Bible. We had Bible, but the Bible was something to be revered in our house. We weren't supposed to touch it. We had Bible storybooks, and I remember we
I
had
remember
one.
those.
Yeah,
I
we
think
had one, and it was blue. I remember it was a blue cover, and I was flipping through it. I had to be about 8 years old, and I read the story about Lot's wife turned into a pillar of salt,
yes.
and it scared the shit out of me, man. It scared me,
Yeah, as a
and I
kid, you're
thought,
like, what the fuck?
I don't wanna turn into a pillar of salt if I look at God's
Just for
fire.
looking, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, that was kind of harsh. But I mean, growing up, we didn't learn it, and I remember one time my dad, there were some, what I later found out were Jehovah's Witnesses, were walking around from door to door talking to the Latino community around there, and somehow my dad agreed to let me and my sister go to their church. I don't
Oh
think he
boy.
realized that they were not Catholics, and so we ended up going to their Sunday school, and they asked the question, and I raised my hand and I said that the answer was Jesus, and the guy looked at me and said, "No," and I remember feeling
What?
like crap. I'm like, every kid around me, there were like 5 kids before me that got asked a question, and they said Jesus was the answer, and the answer was correct, and so if you don't say Jesus, how is that wrong? So
Jesus is always the answer.
right,
For life, he is always the
I'm the
answer.
new guy.
Did you see what I posted the other day from Reddit where this guy was saying that he had oh fuck, I forgot the name of it, but he called it a disorder of OCD with sin, to where he was
What?
obsessed with not sinning, so every little thing he did, he was like anxious and having panic attacks over whether that might be benefiting a sin or committing a sin in the long run or something like that. Like all this, like he would like go into like crazy attacks because of this shit. And then some guy like actually came in and was like, "Yeah, this happens to me too." It's just like, what
Wow,
the?
no, I missed that.
Yeah, it's
I'm
pretty
picturing
nuts.
like dudes like scrubbing their hands with holy water and stuff right now.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking crazy, and they just get stuck in this
Wow.
at an early age. This idea that they're gonna go to hell, and then
You
they
know,
start screaming at you.
I can. I'm not gonna say I relate to that, but I can completely understand that whole fear of going to hell. That's pretty much what got me to say my prayers more when I was a kid.
Yeah,
I was afraid
exactly.
of hell. I had learned. Like I said, I read that dang Bible teach book, and so I started to learn. Not Bible teach book. That's a Jehovah's Witness thing. Bible stories, and I didn't want to go to hell.
Yep.
So I asked my mom, I said, "Oh, I don't want to go to hell. What do I do?" She said, "Well,
Say
Milo,
Jesus.
if you're good, you won't go to hell. Just say 5 Hail Marys and you'll sleep better and you'll feel better in the morning." And I'm like, "Okay, Hail Mary, full of grace, and go to bed." But that sticks with you, especially when you're a kid. That they tell you you're gonna burn in hell if you don't follow God. That's
Yeah, we had the religious books, and they would have these huge ass fucking artist pictures of hell burning and like people being tortured and shit like that. And you're just like, well, I don't want to go there. Like, that does not look appeasing at all.
and you see heaven above it where the little baby cherubs are playing their little harps and being happy, and you're like, okay, I want to go there. I don't want to go down there.
Exactly. Now let's talk about the reaction to your group. You've gotten some negative things,
Yeah.
some negative things, and much more positive things, I'm sure.
You know, a lot of the negative things, I'll say this much. I've been attacked, first of all, for forming an atheist group because
That's
it feels like
yeah,
they,
that's expected.
yeah, but I think some people thought that atheism now, as a movement, quote unquote, was trying to reach as many people as possible. So we were actively recruiting Latinos because the
What?
idea of a Latino community was rare. And so when I
Them
started posting,
forming together? What do you
yeah,
mean? They're gonna make an army and take over the world? Like, what the
they were
fuck?
like, so are atheists actively recruiting as many people as they can get now? And I'm like,
The
no,
fuck?
no. And yeah, some of the negative feedback I've gotten is actually from people in the atheist community that just say, "Why are you making this a racial thing?" And I'm not. We're
It's
not
not.
making it a racial thing. The
Well,
fact
when
stands that in the Latino community, it's hard to be an atheist. It's hard to not believe because our families are so
entrenched.
exactly in this. I mean, it's everyday life for them,
Yep.
and so the idea that you cannot believe in God is frowned upon.
Most Latinos, if you have them walk in front of a church, they're gonna do the freaking sign of the
Oh
cross.
yeah,
They're
across
gonna do it. I work
church.
across the street from a church, and I see so many people that right when they hit that barrier of
Yeah,
where the church wall starts, even if it's across the street, right when they hit that barrier, they're doing that. I'm just like, geez, they're so like entrenched in it, like they just have no other way of thinking.
I knew a guy when I was a teenager who would cross himself every time he drove past a cemetery, and he had to do it until we got past the cemetery. So he would do it over and over and over and
While
over until.
driving, that's not safe.
No, no, no. He was never driving. I mean,
Okay,
no,
I
no.
was gonna say.
Yeah, no. It was weird for me.
Yeah, it is to see that happening when you're just sitting there like but that's why these communities need to be well that it's why they get so much good reception is because these there are people out there who want to know that they're not the only ones who think these people sitting in their passenger seat are fucking crazy. And not just not crazy in a literal sense, but like just like that stuff is weird. Like that belief is just weird.
Yeah, what you mean? It's just
It's normal to think that.
to people who to people who don't believe and to people who don't have a background in that, it's over the top.
Yeah.
It's just not something you're used to. You don't expect these random rituals just inserted into everyday life if you're not used to that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't go to church, and I remember as far back as I can remember going to my grandma's house, and she would make us. She had a thing of holy water on the wall, and it was a crucifix, of course. So you
Did
see
you have to do it every time?
you see Jesus there hanging dead like a some guy who was just murdered, and she would make us grab the holy water and bless ourselves every time we come into her apartment.
Yeah,
And
you had to.
it was just one of those rituals. We didn't know why we were doing it, but we did it because she told us to, and so.
And she said that if you did it, you go to hell.
She actually, my grandma didn't say that until we were older.
Oh, now these kids can think, well, you're gonna go to hell if you think too much.
I
It's
remember
crazy though. There's a lot of
like,
suppression in the Latino community too.
oh yeah, definitely. They don't want you to. They don't want you to go against what
They
they
don't want you to raise your kids not the way they raised you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a huge thing.
It's
The
personal.
grandparents, yeah, they have to be like hands on and everything, and that's a cultural thing. That's not just like a racial thing to where like only only they do it, but like the culture behind it all is
Yeah.
it leads to that close family to where it's like almost too close sometimes.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. It's like
My immediate family was never traditional really or cultural.
yeah.
I mean, like my cousins and stuff like that. Once you reach that level, then my family is all super from Puerto Rico, some
Yeah.
Santeria stuff in there, and and all that stuff. But like my immediate family, my mom, my dad, my brothers, my aunt, stuff like that, like not so much.
I think that's something we have in common. My immediate family, while they are Catholics, they don't practice, they don't go to church all the time,
Yeah,
and my mom is very open. She was very encouraging when it came to watching science, learning, thinking outside the box. She likes these documentaries that have
yeah,
to
that's how
do
my
with
mom is too.
yeah. I mean, and so she's really open. But as soon as you get outside of my immediate family, particularly on my mom's side, my cousins, they are very.
You see it.
It's more mystical for them. Like I
Yeah.
have an aunt who claims to be a medium, and
Oh wow.
yeah, she tells stories about exorcising ghosts from people's houses, and it's over the top. I'm like, now I'll admit when I was a little more entrenched in the religion, I did the whole paranormal investigation thing.
Yeah.
Staying in houses trying to find proof of ghosts. And I showed her a video one time, and she kept claiming that she saw a face, and I'm like, no, that's a shadow. That's just a shadow. And so
No, but it is a phase.
it's superstition, man. I think that they convince themselves
That's what
that
it is.
these things are real, that they get everything in my family is the kukui. It's the kukui. If you hear a noise, there's the kukui. You don't go over there and check it out because
I know
you know,
what this shit is. Yes,
like
I've heard that. I've
I
heard
heard a
that
bang in
before.
the basement. Don't go down there. The kukui's gonna get you. Oh shit! I'm not going down there. Then the kukui's down there.
I've heard that from other families. Definitely,
It's crazy.
it is crazy.
And I
But
remember I grew up like that. I grew up thinking that every little bump in the night was something out there ready to get me, and that's terrifying to a kid.
oh yeah, it shapes how you think. Literally,
Yeah.
you start to think that all your bad thoughts, or what you are told is a bad thought, is gonna send you down to some place you never want to be, and then you just like you said, your wife was an American Baptist.
American
That's
Baptist, yeah. And from what
um
I hear from other pastors that I've talked to, American Baptist isn't usually that forceful with the evangelism.
mhm,
But this particular church, I guess the pastor was one of the kinds that
crazy one.
was disruptive at their conference, and he would always tell them how they're being Christians wrong.
Oh
And so,
wow,
yeah,
one of
so yeah,
those.
so it made it one of those experiences that was just like,
I'm out.
you can be a hardcore Christian, but how can I agree? Yeah, I'm a Christian, but I don't hate gay people.
Right.
You know, one of my best friends is a gay man. I can't say to him he's going to hell. That's not right.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
I
don't get.
went to a Baptist church, but it was like it was in Florida. I guess you could call it American Baptist. Never really like. I always called it Southern Baptist,
Yeah.
but we never were like Westboro bad. But
God.
Revelations was like a huge fucking subject, though.
Oh yeah.
Like all we were learning about was how Jesus was gonna come back, kill everyone else,
Right.
and we were gonna survive because we believed and because we didn't question and we had faith and stuff like that. And that was what threw me off. I was just like, wait, so if it doesn't make sense to me and I don't feel like believing in it, I'm still gonna die.
Right.
Like, and go to straight down to hell. Like it's crazy.
Here's what I don't get about people like that church we went to. They claim to be biblical literalists, and
Huh.
yet the book of Revelation is so much metaphor and it makes no sense. You can't be literal. If you're going to be a literalist for the rest of the Bible, you got to be literal about this damn thing with the weird heads coming out with the
I
sword
was just
sticking
gonna
out of it.
say that.
Yeah, I mean, come on. You, is that literal?
Yeah, like, are you really taking that seriously? Or the Noah's Ark and all that good stuff. Freaking just the first few books with Genesis. Like, if you're gonna be a literalist and take that seriously, then you can't have a rational conversation because they, just like Ken Ham, they will not take what you say as evidence. They've already got their evidence.
Yeah.
That's all they need, and it's
That's
sad.
that's the thing. They close themselves off, and then they have the nerve to tell us that we're not open-minded.
Right,
And
and
you
yeah,
guys, you guys are just closed off to the idea. You're presenting one idea. You're presenting that God did it. You're not open up to any other ideas, and you have the nerve to say that we're not open. A
it's
lot of atheists who claim the word atheist, I think it's fair to say, have come from religion.
a
They
lot.
were open to at one point.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what threw them off of it.
Yeah.
No reason to keep believing in it. So, where do you look for the group to go? Like, you're gonna meet up at Reason Rally. What are you gonna do at Reason Rally? What should people expect when they meet you up at Reason Rally?
Well, I mean, really, what we are is a support group. And so those of us who do get a chance to go to Reason Rally are looking to just hang out.
Cool.
We're all about having fun, supporting each other, and going, hey, we are similar in this aspect that we grew up a certain way and we understand our culture. And so I think just the face to face is going to be huge.
That's awesome. You
We don't
speak
have any,
Spanish, right?
my Spanish kind of sucks. I
I don't
spoke
even.
more when I worked at Target,
I don't know
but
much.
the more I'm in this group, the more I'm kind of forcing myself to read a lot of the posts that are in Spanish
Yeah,
before
I
I hit
should do
that
that.
Facebook translate button.
Yeah,
And so,
I should do that.
yeah, it's so easy to hit translate, but sometimes I hit translate, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I better try it in Spanish.
Right. It's
But
true though.
yeah, I mean, they're looking to meet up at Reason Rally and hang out, just kind of have that whole community feeling.
Have you
And
seen a lot of connections made within the group of people meeting up in person and stuff like that?
I have. well, not so much a lot of people meeting up in person, people like they want to, but a lot of them live so far away. But we have had some people who have started dating
That's
through
awesome.
our group, which is amazing. I can't believe that. And people who just are making friends that they didn't think they could find.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
I don't know how many times I've heard people say that they found their tribe. That welcome home. This is home. And for a Facebook group, an online community, that's huge.
Well, that's what this show really came from. Is about a year and a half ago or so. I started reading newspapers and started reading all this stuff about religion, so I started looking up religion more, and then I started coming across these atheist groups on Facebook, and then I started seeing more people that weren't believing, and I was like, well, why don't they believe? And then I came across calling myself an atheist, and I was like, well, yeah, because there was no reason for me to believe in the first place.
Yeah.
And I just started meeting all these people with like-minded ideas and secular humanism, things like that. So then we saw how much people were actually persecuted, actually oppressed, not imaginary bullshit like what we've seen with like God is not dead.
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, it's crazy what groups have done, and a lot of people like to write off Facebook as if it doesn't matter, as if the things said on Facebook don't matter. I
Yeah.
refuse to accept that.
Oh yeah.
Just look at the fact of online forums from, when the internet first started. These internet forums have been responsible for so many amazing things.
Sure.
And that's what Facebook basically is at this point.
Yeah, and
It's
Facebook has evolved. I mean,
a
I
lot, yeah.
feel like it's taken the forum idea to a whole new level
It has,
where
yeah.
it's a lot more interactive now. You can share
Personal.
videos, you can share memes, you can share your audio.
hmm
You
Now
you
you can
can
do
go
live
live.
broadcasting.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, before that we had what?
AIM.
AIM? Yeah. Yahoo Messenger,
Yahoo,
chat rooms.
freaking MSN.
Yep.
The chat rooms, yeah, the chat rooms were huge. The forums, the online forums themselves with
Yeah.
moderators and stuff like that. And then now we have Reddit. Reddit is way huge because that's where everything comes from.
Is it? See,
All right,
I was
the
thinking
way to
right off.
understand Reddit is everything you've ever seen go viral, and I literally mean everything you've ever seen go viral is solely because of Reddit.
Huh.
Something gets posted to Reddit and people see it, they vote on it, they upvote, and then it blows up, and you just get like millions of fucking people looking at some shit. It's really that crazy. But that's where you go to get all the news the moment that it happens.
Yeah.
Everything.
So is it like? I forgive my ignorance because I really haven't looked into it. Is it a? It's just a website. Do they have an app?
It's a website, yeah. Oh yeah, lots of apps, but basically it's like you have Reddit, and then you have what are called subreddits. Each subreddit, think of as a group. It's like a thread, and this thread is basically where people will post the content that's allowed in that thread. Like each thread will have moderators. Like atheism is a subreddit on Reddit. So in the atheism subreddit, you'll have people posting related to atheism. They'll post links, they'll post pictures, they'll post their own thoughts, self stuff like that.
Hmm.
And then people will see it if they subscribe to the thread, the subreddit.
Yeah.
You subscribe to it, and then you'll see it pop up on your front page. And you
Okay.
could comment on it or upvote if you think it's important. You upvote it, and then it'll move higher up so that more people see it. That's the thing.
Hmm.
More people click upvote, and then it gets more visible, and then more people see it across the internet. People are sharing it and stuff like that. But the beauty of Reddit, really, to me, is the comments. Because you go in and you check out the links, but then you go into the comments, and then you learn everything. You'll see debunkings and all kinds of crazy shit. Like all of the hilarious stuff that you'll see comes from comments based
That's,
on links.
that sounds
Definitely check
pretty
it
cool.
out. It's the evolution of everything on the internet, basically.
Yeah.
It's sick.
Huh. I will check that out.
Yeah, but we're gonna be posting this on there definitely.
Okay.
Get some more
Yeah, I
people in
mean,
the group.
for Secular Latino Alliance, we're mostly Facebook. We do have a Twitter page, and we just recently joined Instagram, which is fun. And we have a website that I don't think a lot of people use yet. We haven't got a lot of visitors. Mostly our Facebook group, I guess, is not our page. Our group is where most of the action is.
Right on. That's awesome. On the page, are you gonna have like events and stuff like that planned out?
As we do more events, we do plan on hosting, showing our calendar. Um, right now, we have the Reason Rally meetup, and I posted as our page. The Book of Mormon, the musical, is coming to Kansas City, and
Oh, that's
so
awesome. You
I
should
had to.
definitely see that.
Yeah, I have not seen that yet, so I'm excited for that.
I saw that
But
here in New York.
was it good?
It's the best thing I've ever seen.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to see that. And then we're planning on doing events. The fact that we are internet based and we're spread all over the country makes it a little harder to do actual events where we meet up. But we want to do like campaigns. Like we have an idea to do um, what has been referred to as the burrito project, where you make burritos and just wherever you are, just pass them out to homeless people on a certain day.
That's
And
fucking awesome.
yeah, just help out, just individually do community service. And so as time goes on, we'll start introducing those ideas and see who grabs a hold and how it goes. And we've only been around for what, since October 22nd was the day we formed, and so
How many people are you at this point?
we just hit 1.2 thousand,
Wow.
which is pretty big for a Latino community.
Yeah, it really is though. That's
But
pretty awesome. So, um, I don't know. I guess we should just pretty much wrap up at that point.
okay, yeah,
No, if you are going to Reason Rally, look for Sal Villarreal. Did I say that
yeah,
right?
yeah. Sal
Okay.
Villarreal. We'll probably meet up around the Hispanic American Freethinkers booth
Is
because
David Tamayo gonna be there?
David Tamayo is gonna be there. I think he might be the vice president of Reason Rally this year.
Oh,
I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know they're gonna have a booth, so most of us plan on meeting up around there because they are members in our group too. They've been very supportive, and so yeah. And
I
I
wish
know
I can get in on that.
we're doing a brunch with them the next morning, what they're calling a Hispanic Secular Leadership Brunch, and so anybody who is a wants to be a leader in the Latino community, in a secular community, can meet up with them. I think it's $20 to RSVP and go have brunch, which should be fun.
That's awesome. I wish we could set up a booth out there. Maybe
Yeah,
next year.
yeah. I guess what do they do it every 4 years on election
It's
year?
every 4 years?
I think it is because the last time
Shit.
they did it was in 2012,
Damn.
and now it's 2016. Not 4 years.
Well, if we're around then, I'm sure we'll have a booth.
I'm sure you'll be around, man. Things are
Hopefully.
just you guys aren't very old either, right? That Atheist show.
We started in July.
Yeah. See, I mean, it's just the beginning.
Yeah, literally. We've got 430 subs at this point.
That's awesome.
I'll be watching this episode later on and being like, haha, remember those 430 subs? Now we're at millions.
Yeah, there you go. That's how I feel with the Secular Latino Alliance group. I mean, we started off with three of us. It was just me, Jesus, and Tracy. And I remember going, "Wow, we just hit 120 members," and now I'm like, I can't see how many members we have because it says 1.2K.
That's awesome. Yeah, we started a group for this show when we started, and it's now at almost 1,000 people, and I'm starting to see like those spam profiles, and I'm just like, oh, shouldn't have done that.
You start profiling them. You're like, oh, okay, you've
Have
been on
to.
Facebook a couple days. I'm not gonna accept you. But then you get
Yeah.
to the point where you see people, which I've made this mistake. They made an account just to join the group because
Yeah.
so you reject them and you're like, oh man, I feel bad.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It does happen, but usually what I look for is the very attractive female. Because if they have a model picture as their profile picture, they're typically fake. They're usually tagging me in some stupid porno or freaking messaging me about watching them on webcam. I'm just like, stupid.
If they message you, say watch my webcam, you should say, hey, watch my show.
Yeah, right. Yeah, look on YouTube.
The ones I typically get are Nigerian accounts. And I was a banker for years, and so I know that most of our scams come from Nigeria. It's just hard to actually be legit when you say you're from Nigeria.
Well, yeah, you know about Emo David, who we have the interviews with. We've got a few interviews with him. He wrote a book, The Ultimate Curse on Mankind, atheist activist. He's literally on the run, basically from fucking What's that? Boko Haram?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like basically literally like they know about him because his book is on Amazon and stuff like that. So we were trying to raise up money for him, but everybody thinks it's a scam because he's from Nigeria.
And I don't mean to profile like that, but I mean it's just.
Well, GoFundMe actually literally flagged us and
Oh,
took it
really?
down, and they said because of all the accounts in Nigeria that are scam accounts,
Yeah.
we took yours down until you can verify he's a real person. So we had to verify it, and then it worked. Crazy.
At least you were able to verify.
Yeah, it worked. We definitely got it going. Pretty
That's
crazy though.
But yeah, man, the Latino community, as a secular community, is growing, and Hispanic American free thinkers was an inspiration. I found them, and then we started coming across more people, and so I'll give a shout out to the Latin Nun. He's a blogger, really good guy. Juhem Navarro, he's awesome,
Cool.
and you should read. Let's see, there's Halfree Orlando. There's Hispanic Seculars of North Texas. I want to say they're called, and Chicago Latino Atheists. I mean, the they're coming out, and it's awesome.
That is awesome because these groups that you just mentioned, they are the first in their area of their kind, aren't they?
Yeah, as far as I know.
So the people in those areas already might not even know that they're atheists until they see these groups and they're like, "Hey, I don't believe that shit either. That's crazy."
Yeah,
How do you go talk to these guys?
yeah.
And then it's important to point out always that not all atheists think the same. That
Oh no.
all that brings us together is the lack of belief. But then there's those conservatives, the liberals, and you start splitting up thousands of ways in
Yeah,
between.
you can be any kind of atheist and still not believe in God.
Right. That's all that brings us together.
Yeah,
And that's why we made the show that atheist shows because it's general.
yeah.
It can reach anybody, and all we're going to do is provide perspective, not having anything to do with God.
Sure. And are you gonna get people that disagree with you? Absolutely. I
Of
mean, do you
course.
have to get in arguments about it? No, not necessarily. You don't have to.
Right, and well, and also it's important to remember that an argument doesn't always involve volatility or
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
volatile feelings and stuff like that. Like an argument can very much be a civil discussion between two people. An argument just means that two ideas are being presented against each other.
Yeah.
So when people say stop arguing on Facebook, it's like I'm not like arguing trying to get you angry. I'm just
Yeah.
arguing trying to make a point. Like what the fuck?
Some people are more sensitive than others. I mean,
Yeah,
what
really.
might anger you might not anger me, and so what we find offensive is going to be different.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes down to arguing, arguing's fun. I mean, to some people, you wanna talk about the points and you wanna attack these ideas, go for it. You start attacking each other is where I have a problem.
Yeah,
And
exactly. It's a philosopher's ability to be able to argue anything.
yeah,
Be able to say,
exactly.
"Hey, let's think about this a little bit more," instead of just accepting it the way that you just presented it. Like, let's get a little bit more elaboration in there. Try to understand what you're thinking about.
Exactly.
Because usually people just throw out all kinds of just weird shit, and you're like, "Why?"
Yeah, and
But
I think something
why?
people need to realize is even just because you claim to be an atheist doesn't mean you claim to be intelligent. And a lot of people
Yeah.
out there still believe weird stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people that are atheists though will say that their atheism is a sign of their intelligence, and you're like, no. They're like,
Yeah.
what do you mean calling me stupid? I'm an atheist. It's like, what?
You
That
might.
has nothing to do with anything.
There are atheists out there who still believe. They don't. Not all atheists apply their reason to everything.
Right.
So.
At all.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
I don't understand it, but
But what brings us together will eventually inspire others.
that's the dream, man. That's the dream.
Exactly. We're
We
not
hope
trying
that
to deconvert people, we're just trying to let them deconvert themselves.
exactly. We hope that by being visible, we can help these people who are stuck in their families who don't believe the way they do and can say, "Hey, look, that person is free to be themselves, and now maybe I can be too."
Right. They're like, I'm not alone in believing that this stuff is weird.
Exactly.
So let
And
me
it's
not feel
not
like I'm crazy for it.
and I won't say that it's easy for everybody. I am very open about it now, but I was scared to death to tell my mom.
Yeah.
because of how she would react. And even now, I still get bad reactions from extended family members on Facebook.
Yeah,
And
me too. A lot of unfriended me.
yeah, I'm sure a lot of them have unfollowed me. They might not everybody's brave enough to unfriend people,
Yeah, that's true.
but so yeah, I mean, I get some pushback still. And so atheism isn't easy. It's not something
No.
that you should it's not something you should just jump into thinking, everything's going to be okay, because a lot of people have been disowned by their families. And if you are relying on your family, if you live with your family and they say get the hell out of the house, that
And that
sucks.
happens a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
I've heard
I
of
can't
kids
imagine.
being taught that their parents are evil because of it.
Yeah.
And then the kid
Sucks.
kind of goes toward child services saying, "Hey, help me, they're evil." And then
Yeah.
child services is like, "Oh, well, let me take your kid away because you're evil. Your kid
And,
says so."
and that's a problem with I think with the United States, is that we are so religious here. Not necessarily the country as a whole, but I mean it's been
75% is Christians.
it's been pushed onto everything, and so they usually will lean toward those people who are more like the rest of the herd.
Right. And there's definitely that herd mentality.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, so we'll wrap this up here. Thank you for coming on the show. We'll definitely have you on at a later time. We'll see
Thank
how
you.
Reason Rally goes. Thank you all for watching, and you all have a great night. And Connie will be back eventually, a few weeks. Check out the GoFundMe that I have set up, and just give it a share if you can. Thank you. Y'all have a good night.